In this video, once again we'll see there are companies who haven't yet got the message, go woke, go broke. Because if any company is pushing a certain ideology, and it's always the same one, members of the public stop using their services or buying their products because we have had enough of it. So, over the last few days, a cosmetics company has pulled out of a deal with, I would say, a rock icon, but that word isn't big enough. The man is a legend in his own lifetime. And the deal's been cancelled, and the woke far left are attempting to cancel him because he committed the hideous crime of telling the truth. The man in question is the king of shock rock, the one, the only, Alice Cooper. Coop had signed a deal with Vampire Cosmetics because, let's be fair, that guy knows about stage makeup. He's been wearing it for over 50 years. But he gave an interview in which he was quizzed on, surprise, surprise, gender ideology. So Vampire Cosmetics have pulled out of the deal. They're already losing money because they're having to refund customers. Not only that, they've now disappeared from Twitter. In a way, I feel sorry for the cosmetics company because they're damned either way. Breaking the deal with Alice Cooper means they'll lose money and probably lose a lot of customers. Yet, if they'd stood with Cooper, with his views, which are completely rational, and we'll get to that, on gender ideology, they would have lost a lot more because the people with green hair and poor personal hygiene would have turned up and burned down their premises. Because as we see time and again, trans rights activists who were all about love and inclusion are some of the most vile and violent people on the face of the planet. So what did Coop say that was so shocking? Well, I'm paraphrasing here, but during an interview, he was asked about the views of Paul Stanley from Kiss and Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, both of whom have gone on record to say that children should not be transitioned, something which any sensible person would agree with. Kids shouldn't be mutilated. But Alice said that the trans thing may just be a fad, and God, I hope he's right on that. Adding that there are some transgender people, but also there are those who aren't trans but want to be. You know the types, attention-seeking narcissists and those seeking those desperate victimhood points. He also added, it's wrong to push it onto young children, saying that a 6-year-old child just wants to play. It's wrong to take a 6-year-old boy and tell him he's a boy, but he could be a girl. Shocking stuff. Alice also said that there are some men who'll take advantage of it. They'll say they feel like a girl in order to gain access to women's spaces like locker rooms where they can have the time of their lives, and went on to say it won't end until a woman gets... A man will go in there saying he felt like a girl but then felt like a boy again and couldn't help himself. Sadly, Alice is a little behind the times. That has already happened multiple times. So now the screaming far left are calling for Cooper's head. Ironic given that every Alice Cooper concert ends with him apparently having his head cut off by a guillotine. So is Alice going to be bothered by this? Well, given that he's in his mid-70s and he's worth over $50 million, probably not. Not only that, but although the cosmetics company have pulled out, Planet Rock haven't dropped his radio show. And I know that because I was listening to it on the way to work this morning. And Alice Cooper fans aren't up in arms. He's expressed an opinion, and whether you go along with it or not, he's got the right to have it. But this is where the story gets weird. Because in the comments on the various articles that have been published on this, the Troons women, because the algorithm won't pick up on that, and the TRAs, the trans rights activists, are calling Cooper a hypocrite because they think he's a trans woman. Now, we need to bear in mind that the Alice Cooper band, Kiss and Twisted Sister, were the original gender benders. They dressed and used makeup in ways that weren't conventional for men, shall we say. However, if those guys are saying something smells of shit, the rest of us need to start checking our fucking shoes. Because these people think that because Alice Cooper goes by the name Alice, he identifies as a woman. For those who don't know, a very quick history lesson, the Alice Cooper band was formed in Phoenix, Arizona in 1964. None of the band have the name Alice Cooper, in much the same way that in the classic comedy Monty Python's Flying Circus, There's no one called Monty Python. In fact, how would these silly woke bastards cope watching that? They'd go through episode after episode crying, going, I don't know which one's Monty Python. Also, it's meant to be a flying circus. I haven't seen any wing walkers or biplanes. The singer from the Alice Cooper band, the man we now know as Alice Cooper, his real name's Vincent Furnier. All fans know that. It's as the original band started to split up, he adopted the stage name Alice Cooper. It doesn't mean that Vince ever thought he might be a woman. And if you go to an Alice Cooper concert, at the very end of said concert, Alice will introduce all the rest of the band, and the last thing he says is, and playing the part of Alice Cooper tonight, me. Alice Cooper isn't real. Alice is a stage persona. Now, if this was a successful YouTube channel, and for the few people who watch these videos, you have my eternal gratitude. But if I was getting thousands of views, if I was a proper YouTuber, I guarantee I'd also be getting doxed, death threats, all those type of things, whenever I talk about trans rights issues, because the thing about the Trans Rights Brigade is they love to hate. Now, I haven't got any death threats, well, for a few years now, back when I used to pick on flat earthers, because I thought then they were the stupidest people on earth. Then COVID struck, and it turned out there was another layer under those. But I think I'd be safe if the mob came for me, the same mob that think that Alice Cooper must be trans because he uses the first name Alice. They'd never track me down, because I swear they think my first name is actually Disgruntled. And for those who don't know, the reason I'm Disgruntled Danny is, first, that was suggested to me by a very good musician friend. And secondly, I have a ridiculous Scandinavian surname that no fucker can pronounce. And if anyone watching this is a trans rights activist, if you think your ideology is justified in going after a man who legally is a pensioner, because in his opinion, young children should not have life-changing, irreversible operations before they've hit puberty and before their brains are fully developed, it does sound like you're on the wrong side of the argument. And I think it says a lot about the world we're living in, where this man is the one giving out sound, evidence-based scientific advice. As ever, thanks for watching.